This video is of a cowardly discussion of MSNBC folks and talking about how much guns are terrible and how the threat of force should be used to prevent peaceful transactions between consenting adults in order to prevent violence. So the act of violence will prevent violence from occurring. Usually, they say the peaceful commerce between the exchange is the cause of the violence. So let's hear Mr. Arcadia Journey. He says something really cool here. Quote, states, he has the proof, states that have the weakest gun laws have the highest levels of gun violence.
States that have the weakest gun laws have the highest levels of gun violence. We did a report we put out last week from the Center for American Progress and found that the 10 states with the weakest gun laws in the country have a level of gun violence that is twice as high, 104% higher than the 10 states with the strongest gun laws. And what we need to do is you can try to fix this state by state, and I think what's happened in Colorado is an enormous step forward, because if you can do it in a purple state like Colorado, you should be able to do it anywhere. But the real answer is let's do something federally.
Right. So, of course, the answer is we have to have it across the board. Federal gun control is the answer. So you heard them. The top 10 states that have the toughest gun control measures have the lowest gun control violence, and vice versa. Well, this map would argue otherwise. The states in the orange are, according to that very report, the top 10 states with the highest gun death rates, and the blue states are the top 10 lowest gun death rates. That's a quote from the key. And you'll see that every state has a ranking. But let me get into this a little bit further. Let's look at the FBI crime statistics themselves. So I got a map of the FBI statistics in 2010. This same year that smartgunlaws.org or the Center for American Progress cited. Well, what stands out immediately is this chart here divides both total murder rates, which is the blue plus the red bar, and divided by, or subgrouped by the blue bar, which is just the firearm murder rates. Immediately you can see New Hampshire, Vermont, Iowa, Idaho, North Dakota, Wyoming, South Dakota, Minnesota, Maine, Hawaii. Now, I could have sworn if we looked at this picture over here. Well, let's see what they said. The top 10 states with the highest gun death rates, according to them, or the lowest gun death rates, according to them, is New York and California. Did you ever see New York and California? And hey, look. Here's New Hampshire and Vermont. They're rated F and D-. That doesn't seem to match up very well. Why would they lie like that? Well, let's go into the actual report's numbers. So I got the specific document because the Center for American Progress said they were proud of putting out this report. Well, we immediately can check down and see that, oh yeah, they're really proud of it. It's all official. It's all scientific. So let's see. If we go straight to the same map, but they said here are their aggregate state rankings, similar to the map we just saw above. Well, let's look at the first chart here. Overall firearm deaths. Still doesn't make sense. We just saw the fact that New Hampshire and Vermont were by far the lowest gun death rates per 100,000. But here, it puts New Hampshire at 9 per 100,000. Well, that seems to contradict with our number right here, which clearly states that New Hampshire and Vermont on this scale are just about 1 or less. Yep, New Hampshire being 1.01 and Vermont being 1.02 per 100,000. So why would they just fudge these numbers? Maybe they're changing the name. Maybe perhaps they're broadening the definition of gun violence to not just mean murder or firearm murders even. No. What are they including? Well, let's check. I go back to the report really quick, and we'll see, well, what other things did they use? Well, they have the firearm, that same chart about firearm deaths, firearm homicides, 2010. Well, that seems like what we were looking for. Hey, what? Why would New Hampshire and Vermont, the number 1 and the number 2, Oh, they just happened to be left off the report. Well, they didn't say that when they did that map and graded them at F and a D minus. Well, what wouldn't that be? Oh, that might fudge the numbers to their liking. Perhaps.